What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us tonight. How y'all doing out there? So tonight's topic is about how to break the all men are trash mentality. This is a good one. Because you hear this often. You hear it in movies. You hear it in real life that all men are trash, and that's not true. Generalizations like these often mean that people who normally say this are have some sort of issues that they've trying to overcome dealing with men, or even saying the same thing about women, that all women are trash as well. So
Right. Yeah. This was actually just a kind of a question that I have found on the internet when I was browsing through some stuff. And I thought it would be really useful because it really helps highlight how, I guess, women come to gather this mentality per
mhm.
se. And I thought it was worthy of us actually going through because, like you said, it's pretty common. And in fact, though, it's pretty detrimental to
Right.
overall obtaining what you want. Because if you just have a negative mindset about anything you desire, that's a surefire way to keep yourself from it and keep it from you.
Right.
So, yeah, it's certainly something that has to be addressed. And we're going to do that tonight. So, first, as always, Instagram. If you want to go on over to YouTube, you can check out the question as we pull it up on the screen and follow along. But we will always keep you up to date as we go.
Yep. And then, as always, if you can please like, share, and subscribe our videos, we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get on into this. So, the subject really struggling with anti man mentality right now. Let me preface this by saying that I do not hate all men. I do not think all men are scumbags. I have some amazing male friends who are beautiful people inside and out. However, in a romantic capacity, I'm really starting to turn bitter and resentful, and I really want to nip that in the bud. All of my boyfriends, bar one, have been toxic and manipulative in one way or another. I feel like for the last couple of years, especially, I have been used, walked over, disrespected, and generally treated like I'm disposable. I will be the first to hold my hands up and say I probably have not been making good choices when it comes to the men I have let into my life. I have been doing a lot of work on myself over the last few years, therapy, counseling, etc. And I think a lot of it comes down to some childhood trauma that until now I have been ignoring. My last boyfriend, I really, really thought was special. He was everything I wanted, needed in a partner until he wasn't. And virtually overnight, he changed and turned out to be just like everyone else. It's so hard not to internalize this and start picking apart what's wrong with me. Why do I deserve this, etc.? Because I genuinely try to be the best person I possibly can be. And I know I have so much to give to the right person. But up to this point, that quality has just been taken advantage of. It's also hard to not internalize it. I'm feeling a lot of anger towards men in general, and I really, really, really don't want to feel this way because it's not fair. I just feel so defeated and I have no trust left and no hope. Any advice? Well, you can pretty much see why I said that this was a pretty good description of thoughts of, like, usually why women get to this point. But, it's as with always, let's dissect this question because to me, there are a lot of, I guess, red flags that can't be ignored, as well as we're going to go through and talk about how to break this mentality because anti men, all men are trash, whatever you want to give it, it's a negative affirmation. And if you hold it within your mind or just believe it to be true, then more than likely your subconscious will create ways that reinforce the truth in this affirmation that you hold for yourself. So let's get on into it.
Yep. Shall we? So this one is it's not a lot as far as I think red flags. I mean, she's admitting a lot.
Hmm.
So she knows that this mentality that she has is detrimental, like you said, to herself and her outcomes. And she's have done things to actually try to make herself better as far as therapy and counseling, she says. But, as she goes on and talks about men in this aspect, and she's having failed situations and failed relationships, she's starting to think that something is wrong with her.
Well, yeah, when there's a
And
cycle of something, yeah.
my whole thing is this: is that what's wrong with her is her decision making and the type of men that she's picking and choosing to have a relationship with. Um, my eyes burning, and that's what the issue is that, ma'am, you're picking wrong. You're picking the wrong men. And she said that the one guy, her last boyfriend, he was good up until he wasn't overnight.
Right. And that, to me, that's the biggest red flag, like, that I see. And I get all this one accountability part that you said she, comes in when she talks about she's going to therapy and all that stuff. But that to me is a big cop out, because there is just no way that I honestly do not think that there is a way that a person can just be one way all this time and then whoop, overnight
I wish really we could talk to her, because I would like to know what questions are she vetting. What questions do she use to vet a boyfriend? What questions do she use to choose a mate? Because that has a lot to do with the outcome of your relationship. This overnight stuff, I don't believe that.
right.
To me, that's her red flag of saying that she ignored all the red flags of what this guy has been displaying.
Right. Until it, what she says, until it just isn't anymore. Sorry, this letter was kind of long, but yeah, right here. And virtually overnight, he changed and turned out to be just like everyone else. That, again, that's fallacy.
Right.
That's
and then also some additional dialogue as to what does that mean.
Right.
So.
But I understand, it is, like you said, hard to not internalize this as it happening, because in a way, if something does keep happening like this, people always say that you got to be the common denominator. But in particular, why I want to get into this with, as it is tied to this mentality, is because this negative mindset, kind of what we were hitting on in the beginning, it's just that surefire way to either, one, you create this self-sabotage for yourself through making bad choices, not, thinking your way through things.
Not asking the right questions.
Not asking the right questions. Having a negative mindset, you are more likely also to doubt your ability to do these things, to vet the right guys. All of that is going to really put a dampering on your choosing in men, which is probably why you keep getting the same kind results. Of men. Yeah.
She's getting the same results because she's choosing the same men, from what I understand. I mean, but normally that's what happened.
Yeah.
Women, you all choose the same type of man, whatever you all are attracted to. Yeah, and you heard that, good women like these bad boys or whatever the case may be. You all are mostly attracted to them because they exemplify alpha male characteristics.
Yeah.
They come off as a protector, somebody who can protect you. Yeah. And that you all are naturally drawn to that. And that is the reason why you all go for these bad men, because they come off that way. Very charismatic. They could talk the draws off of you. And you like what they say and and how they carry themselves, which you all that you shouldn't base relationship off of characteristics like those.
Right.
That has nothing to do with them trying to provide a service for you, dating with you, dating with the intention of marrying you.
Yeah.
You need to ask questions that consider those ideologies.
Right. So she says here, it's also hard not to externalize it, and I'm feeling a lot of anger towards men in general at the moment. I say, as always, this to me is more so something that needs to be redirected in the sense of you trying to figure out what kind of the way you're looking at it, how that could be in a way false, not true. When you have a negative mindset, you are also more likely to put off the tasks, you're likely to avoid challenges, you're likely to put off the things you know you need to do in order to, I guess, get yourself in a better position to obtain the things you want. That's just another form of self-sabotage, and it all starts with the mindset. So I get, in a way, you want to again redirect that energy towards men, like, oh, it's got to be something wrong with them. But I think in a time like this, it's super important to put it back on you, as not to say for you to, just be hard on yourself, but to just redirect that focus more so on things that you can do that will help you ease your anger towards men in that moment. You can't look for anybody else to help you feel any better about this except yourself. And, that is one thing, some things that we're going to go through tonight on how you can do this, because it's super important that you take back that control of your own emotions and how you feel and your perspective on things, and don't try to put it off, on men. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and what I wanted to say was that, like my wife was saying, that perspective. You really need to look at yourself. To be honest with you, I know that she says she's gone through therapy or whatever the case may be. Maybe this is something that you need to talk to your therapist about.
Yes.
To be honest with you, other than your past traumas, because ultimately you need to break this cycle, and it's something that you're doing wrong. To be honest with you, is not always the men, but you also too play a part in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, not to beat around the bush, let's go into the
and
tips.
get back into it, I guess. Yeah. I mean, we don't want you to feel defeated, and there is hope in this situation. But the most important thing is for you to realize that you are the one that's going to give you that hope. You're the one that's going to change the situations. You're the one that has to, again, reclaim that power for yourself.
Right.
And in particular, another reason why it's so important to start back with that mindset, and why you need to make sure that you don't let it drop into this negativity, like you say you really, really don't want to do, is because when you're faced with setbacks and other challenges, if you have a negative mindset, you're more likely to run and not look to do the work that's needed to reach your full potential, even when you have something that may, set you back a little bit. You meet a guy who you thought he was good, and he ended up not to be that way. It's super important that you keep your mindset positive on the fact that, hey, although this happened, it doesn't mean that it's the world. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean that I have to be defeated. I can still keep going, and I know that there are good men out here, because that is truth. So we're going to get it all into that. But I know we kind of so far talked about how a negative mindset can in a way, present itself through self-sabotage. A negative mindset can also cause you to project onto your future spouses. So that is super detrimental to a relationship.
Yeah, because that's baggage. I always talk about baggage. You don't want to bring your baggage into a new relationship, because you know what, maybe that is what you're doing, to be honest with you. Did you think that, did you think about your past relationships and how something didn't work out, and then all of a sudden you bring in those feelings and emotions into this new relationship, and then all of a sudden you're getting the same results over and over again. So you really need to talk through your problems or emotions, so that you're not bringing that baggage into your new relationship.
Right, because right here where you say, and virtually overnight he changed and turned out to be just like everyone else. It's almost like you were expecting him to just be like everyone else. And that is projection. Exactly like my husband said. That is essentially you're accusing them of doing something that they may not have even
mean,
thought about doing, certainly have not even done, but all of that.
She's triggered.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's triggered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. He didn't cuddle her that night, and she was like, "Oh, the hell with this.
Yeah.
It's over."
Right.
You know.
Right. And then again, that kind of goes right back to just that negative mindset will give you, in a way, subconscious ways of sabotaging what's going on. So it can manifest as you projecting and then it leading to conflicts or misunderstandings about, like, you know, something you and your spouse should really be on one accord about, something that's probably not even a big deal, but because you're over here projecting, you know, blew up and turned it into something that it's not. So yeah, that could be why you could be acting the way you're acting. It's important just to really look at, you know, all this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You want to go?
All right. So when you project your past hurt onto your spouse, it can make it difficult for you to trust.
For them to trust you.
For them to trust you. And they will start to wonder if you are able to be faithful in the faithful to them, or if you're hiding something. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Or if but what it does look like is that you're triggered by something.
Yeah.
And they may not know it, they may not understand it, or it may look like you're being hormonal. And ultimately for guys, if we don't know, we just say, "What, you're crazy." And then we leave you alone, try to figure out how to get out or away from you, especially in a boyfriend girlfriend situation. And that's the reason why it's doomed. So that is what you don't want to do, is bring that past hurt, that trauma into your relationship. Clean that slate, go get some help, talk about it until you're made whole. And so that you don't do these things for your next relationship. Because like my wife was saying, is that you're carrying this expectation and you're looking for any and every opportunity to say that all guys are the same. Mm-hmm. And it's not your fault. And it's always them, and they're always doing these things to you. Yeah. And that's not the case. It really isn't.
Yep. And that projection can really prevent you from moving on, moving past the things that happened to you in the past. And that's super important, because you don't want to find yourself constantly comparing your new relationship to your past relationship.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
It really isn't. And you're going to end up hurting your spouse and essentially yourself in the end by further proving that, hey, it's difficult to have a healthy relationship with you because you project and bring in a lot of the past traumas. So in general, when a woman chooses to have her mind set on the false affirmation that, you know, all men are trash, see, she is essentially unconsciously starting to create false circumstances that will look to affirm what she holds within her mind.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So it's like super important that you get rid of that negative mindset.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that's holding you back. Well, that's one of the things that's holding you back.
Yep.
So once you can relieve that, then you are very much able to move forward and have positive thoughts and think better about relationship, you know. So
yep, that is so very true. Luckily, there are a few things that you can really do to help break this negative mentality. And really, first, it starts with going back and retraining your mind. And the first thing you're going to have to retrain your mind on is to stop generalizing men. So we kind of wrote down some simple steps to help you go through this when it happens. But this first starts by you just becoming aware of your own biases. We all, you know, we have our biases, and it's important that you are aware of them so that in a way you can avoid letting them cloud your judgment. You don't want that bias to cloud your judgment.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's called taking accountability.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot, that women have a hard time taking accountability, and then maybe because you all don't know how to. But my wife just said that is being aware of your biases.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is one way to take accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you find yourself making a generalization about men, you really need to take a moment and think about, where did this belief come from? Super important to think about, are you basing this belief on your own personal experiences, or are you just repeating something that you've heard before? Like, is this even something that you hold to be true within your heart? You really have to figure out where this thought is coming from. And then in particular, to go a little further, and kind of like this woman has already started to do in a way, but you really want to make sure that you identify the source of your hurt. So this is, once you know where your hurt is coming from, taking the time to really sit down and thinking, hey, what are those experiences that may have triggered this emotion, these thoughts, or what were the things that I overheard? Where was I in this time? What was going on that ended up making me think this way over time? That's just super important, so you can even realize, how to heal that part of yourself, or even that it needs to be healed. Yeah. Another part of healing that self is to actually learn how to forgive. So, forgiveness, I'm sure it's so cliche and you've heard it before, but forgiveness is not about the other person. It's really to help free you up and to get you to a point where you're allowing yourself to feel your emotions and connect with yourself and know while you're feeling this way, but also taking back control of saying, okay, I forgive this person for doing this, and I am now choosing to move forward in a healthier way for myself. Just because it's, not healthy to kind of hold on to feelings of like anger and sadness and hurt. It's only detrimental to you. So for your health and for your sane mind, it's super important that you learn how to forgive. Yeah.
Yep. And also forgive yourself
Mm-hmm.
too, for being and making, especially if you make bad decisions on picking men over and over again. It's okay to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that happens because you are hurt, and that's what you're used to. You're used to that hurt,
Yeah.
and so you have to really take those steps in order to free yourself from that hurt cycle.
Yeah.
So you may want to consider talking to someone you trust, such as a friend, a family member, or a therapist, of course,
Mm-hmm.
who can help you to process your emotions and start to heal. So you
Mm-hmm.
want to try to you could try journaling, or either also other forms of self-help. You could write down in a journal your feelings, your emotions, and the situations that you have had, so that they become more transparent to you,
Yeah.
instead of just feeling a certain type of way
Yep.
about about generalizing with men.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to get those emotions and those feelings out in order to make a change
Mm-hmm.
within yourself.
Yep. Yep. And doing this on paper, I always love that option, certainly because it gives you the space where it's really a non judgmental space that you've created for yourself. It's safe. It's safe. It's just you and that paper, and you're able to get out any and all feelings you have. Really just let yourself let it all out, so that then, you're not suppressing any emotions, and you're actually able to move on and heal and forgive and move on to the next step. Because once you are aware of your biases and you begin to heal from your past, you can now start to challenge those beliefs that you hold within your mind. Now you recognize that you don't want them there anymore, so you got to challenge that first, so that you know that it's false. There's fallacy in them. You can help your conscious mind to recognize, oh, this probably isn't, true. You can, if you, for example, if you find yourself thinking all men are trash, then you can take a moment to challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is there any evidence to really support this belief? Or, are you just making generalizations based off of a few actions from a few men? That doesn't stand for all men. And certainly, are you letting those experiences from those few men really cloud your perception of all men? Just taking the time to challenge that thought. and really see, is there any truth in this? And if there isn't, let me, bring up the falsehood of, that statement.
Hmm. No, that's very true.
Yep.
So once you have challenged those negative thoughts, replace them with positive ones, like we said before. So it can be easy to focus on the negative. It's very easy because you feel negative.
Yeah.
It's very easy to focus on the negative aspects of men when you've had bad experiences. So,
Yeah.
however, it's important to remember that there are also many positive aspects to men.
Mm-hmm.
So make a conscious effort to focus on the good things that men do, the things that you love about men and why that they are important in your life.
Yeah.
Make sure that there are principles of value,
Mm-hmm.
not just material things like
Right.
looks and money and
Yeah.
car and all these other things that don't add any personal value to you and their lives.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, that is where you can start thinking positive on that aspect.
Yeah.
Thank God that this man is helping me, physically. He's able to fix things or help provide me a home or a place to stay. I don't know, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever your situation is. Just should be more positive about that.
Yeah, or you can even that's great too. And you can also start small. Like if the regular guy just opens the door for you, just be thankful for the kind act that's being done by the men. Just showing like, hey, some men are very kind, some men are very caring and generous and supportive, and just look for those great aspects that in the beginning of this letter she said, I have some great men who are in my life or whatever the case may be, which is awesome. You want to acknowledge all of these amazing male friends who are beautiful people inside and out. Acknowledge that in the capacity of like,
Right.
what you like about men.
I mean, why don't she use those men to go help her find a husband?
Well, yeah,
You get what I'm saying? If she know
certainly, yeah.
if good men know good men.
Right.
That's the truth of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So they are able to vet these people.
Yes.
In order to see whether or not they're a candidate to eventually want to marry her. Of course, they have to be attracted to her and want to date her. But that's my word of advice. Those are jewels that I'm dropping there, is that, ladies, if you have good male friends like that letter last night, you need to use those men, your friends, and ask them if they would do you a favor and try to find you a husband.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly. That is definitely a way to get in good with a good man, for sure. Lastly, give men a chance. This sounds, so, I guess, like cliche. This is probably the last thing you really want to do in this moment in time. But truth be told, if you had bad experiences from men in the past, it can be super hard to trust men. So I get that. I understand the guard that could be up. But however, it is also super important to remember that, all men are not the same. And you have to give those men who are not the same a chance to show you that they are not the same. You will never experience it if you don't just give men a chance to show you that, hey, I'm not that type of guy. Don't project that onto me because I don't want to be that type of guy. And instead, look to see men in a higher light, that higher perspective. See them from the positive side of things, where you pointed out your great guy friends that you do know, the great guys in your life that you do know. See men in your mind from that perspective, that there are great men out here, and I can get to know them without making judgments on them before, meeting them. In particular, when we talk about giving men a chance, how do you do this? Of course, you just get to know more men. You go out there and you really have to put yourself out there to be in the position. And like you said, with the great one, get your guy friends to help those that are good guys around. Put yourself in the position so that you can meet those good guys that are very much different. And you can really see how men are so diverse. They are not the same. And they are beautiful, wonderful men who won't treat you like the crap men that you've been experiencing. So you just got to get yourself in a better position to experience those good men.
Right. And then, like I said before, ask the good questions.
Yeah.
You know, get out. We all need to get out of, you know, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food to
Mhm.
eat? And things like that. You need to ask, you know, do you see yourself married one day? Or is your goal is to have married, be married one day? How many do you want children? You need to
Yeah.
ask those hard questions. And you down the line, could you see yourself married with to someone like me?
Right.
You need to know those questions, and
Yeah.
then listen to what they say and how serious they are about you and their answer that they give you
Right.
too.
Yep. Yeah, that's so true. And again, it really, really all boils down to mindset. If you allow yourself, you said here, you already feel the pull of knowing that it won't do you any bit of good for you to start just thinking negative about men and just start to, feel this way that is not fair, because it certainly is not going to do you any good at all. And so, yeah, do everything in your power to just, even if you have to tell yourself in the midst of coming across a F boy, like, just, hey, thank goodness all men are not like this. All men are not like this. Like, let that be your affirmation to give you that hope so you don't feel defeated.
You said an F
And
boy.
yeah, because that's what she's experiencing, I'm sure. Like, those just crap men that you boys, where they're boys, because they're not really men. So that's why I said F boys, because they're not really men. They're a real men don't act like that, and certainly don't treat you that way. And the positive thing is, you said you experienced that.
Right. I mean, but also too, accountability. She has to take
Right.
accountability for picking men like this.
Right.
I mean, that's no excuse for men treating her badly.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, but also too, you have to take the accountability for not vetting and asking the hard questions to these guys.
Yeah, and you got to get a little better, like, at recognizing those signs, dude. Like, you've been through enough of them for you to be like, oh.
Right. Well, why do men and women don't ask these hard questions? Is because they're scared to get the answers that they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
That is the reason why you try to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
Pretty much, you're gonna you hope and pray and have faith that this person is going to be what you want them to be, and then that is not the case. We need to
Yeah.
stop doing that. We're dating wrong. People are dating wrong. We had that video, right?
Yeah.
Dating wrong video. Find that video that we talked about, because we show we provide great questions that you need to ask on dates, instead of, what's your favorite movie, what what's your favorite car, or what do you do on the weekends, and
Yeah.
hobbies like that. Don't get me wrong, you do need to ask those questions too, just to just to have general conversation, but you need to really figure out what the intentions are that that your dates are having with you.
Yeah.
And don't end up like the one girl who whose not boyfriend, but the guy she dated, she slept with the guy twice, and it was a long distance relationship, and he had no intentions on being with her.
Right.
And she thought that this was going to turn into something. This happens to women all the time, because they are scared of the answers that they may get, because they're so attracted to this guy. They're so smitten with the way he looks, his charisma, and they allow them to finesse them. They allow these men to finesse you women, and then all of a sudden you keep doing this to yourselves over and over and over again, and then you end up like this woman who wants to generalize and hate all men. And all reality is that you're picking these same type of man because you have a preference over and over and over again. Your preference should be a provider and a protector. That's it, regardless of what they look like, or what their occupation is. If they're able to provide and protect you, then that needs to be your husband. That's it. Bottom line. You say, well, Rob, why do I have to settle? You're not settling, because ultimately that's what is going to work for you as a provider or protector. If not, then continue to deal with these bad guys, these bad boys that you continue to deal with, because because you're hard-headed. You're hard-headed, and all you want is what you want, but not what you need. That's the simple. I can't get any more simpler than that. That's the reason why women, you all, like I said, generalize men. But on the flip side of this, I mean, I guess men who pick bad women, Um, Men who pick bad women. Then that's on our fault too, because we love the thrill of the chase or whatever the case may be.
I was kind of thinking about doing that tomorrow, since you think, because that might be a good one. Just like
I
how
mean,
the whole all what is the generalization that men do for
the on women is that you
women?
all are
Yeah.
crazy. Y'all are all crazy, but that deals with hormones,
Yeah,
hormonal
possibly.
stuff, because we don't understand you all's hormones unless married men who stay committed, you start to understand it and figure it out that women are hormonal, and they don't do us no harm. They don't mean us no harm. They just have a very short fuse when they're hormonal, and that gives us the that makes us feel defeated at times. To be honest with you, because we like to fix things, and we think that it's got to be something that I can do to help her or to prevent this from happening. In all actuality, we can't. So that's like that's the male generalization about women, is that all of y'all are crazy. It is. I mean,
Yeah,
tell
so
someone,
tomorrow that might be a good
tell
one.
me if
Like,
I'm wrong, man. Like, isn't that's all I hear about women. But also at times too, it's either trauma that women are going through that they're projecting out on men that makes men feel as if that they're crazy, or either their hormones, past trauma, hormones, unresolved trauma, or hormones.
yeah.
That's really it, because that's the notion that I got. And then we want to fix things, and we get so caught up and like, I'm gonna fix her and trying to change her and things like that, and it backfires in our face, and it turns into something. It turns into resentment.
Yeah.
So we can't fix other people. We can, like I always say, we can only hope to inspire change in people, and then the rest is up to them to make that change. But one thing that I did learn about being married is that women and their hormones is going to happen over and over again. So that is a time where men have to adjust and pivot and understand that it is a time of helping, not a time of blaming and generalizing too, because we'd say that we generalize too. You always crazy during this time of the month or
You
whatever the case may be. Yeah, you
tripping.
always tripping. I don't know what you tripping about. So but that's not a reason to break up or not get married, or whatever the case may be. But it's just something that a lot of young guys have no clue about when they get into relationships. And then, we always think that, oh man, all these women are crazy. They're only good for one thing.
Yeah, and even to women, just recognizing that we are hormonal all the time, every month, twice a month. You got ovulation and your cycle, 2 different times at the month. That in particular, your hormones are doing some totally different new things, and just being aware that, hey, this is going on. Maybe I need to do a little more things that are going to make me feel good, take a little more breaks, do the things that's going to help me be able to handle my emotions better, because, now is not the opportune time for me to be trying to, take on more than I can handle, pretty
Right.
much. So
Pace yourself.
yeah, that was something I had to learn, quick, very quick in our relationship. So, hey, it's certainly something that women have to consider, but I think that would be cool for tomorrow to maybe we'll work on a title for that.
All women are crazy.
How to break the all women are crazy mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much good. Well, I don't know. It's not gonna be completely the same, but
No, it's not. It's totally different.
Yeah, because the mindset is being more of it's gaining more perspective in a way.
I mean, but then also too, you can talk about that modern women alpha female mentality too, that men are coming across today that keeps them away from women like that. Another thing that men are doing now these days are holding out and not getting married or whatever the case may be. I don't believe in that. I think that they're more so waiting out and preparing for marriage.
Yeah, men want relationships, and I think the small percentage of men who are online and hurt, scorned, and want to make the choice of being lonely forever, they can't speak for the vast majority of men who want companionship, who want wives, who want families.
Because you said it. I mean, they're speaking from a hurt place.
Yeah.
And they, all y'all women y'all modern women, need to, I don't know.
Yeah, they're no worse than a scorned woman.
Right.
To be honest.
You're not. And that's one thing that I said about the red pill cultures, that they all were saying the same stuff. It seemed as if like they were hurt from their past,
Yeah.
and trying to they were generalizing women.
Yeah.
But I mean, but there were some good facts that came about that.
Yeah, they did
Um,
give men a platform to
right.
be able to speak on, because men weren't given the opportunity to voice those hurts.
Well, and also too, we didn't even know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't know how to
Yeah.
add words to what was going on. All we could was crazy. That was it. Crazy. Leave me alone. Let me go watch TV. You know,
Yeah.
leave her alone. Let her go. You know, watch TV in the other room. I'll stay in this room until things get better.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's been going on. So
Yeah. And to get back on topic though, then pretty much just to kind of, summarize this up, because we finished up kind of early, because, it's not really too much with this, but this is a super big,
important.
big important topic that is essential really to your success on even being able to attract a man who is good, being able to attract a man who will love you and respect you the way you want him to. Because if you can't see this in your mind, there is no way that it's going to consciously appear within your reality. So you have to hold that good man in your mind and hold belief to the idea that men are good. They want to be good. There are good men out here, and that is really just the only mindset you need to have so that you can really get the things that you want.
Right. And women, you have good male friends out there. Ask them to help you find a man, a good man.
Yep.
Because good knows good.
Yeah. So running down real quick, first thing you need to do is to stop generalizing and train your mind to stop doing this. So first, recognize those biases, recognize those thoughts that appear when they appear that aren't true, and then challenge them. Find the falsehood in them, challenge it, and see like, hey, this probably isn't too true. And then I can replace it, since I know it's not true, look to replace it with something that is true, something that is fulfilling and positive and in alignment with how you really want to see men in particular. And then also remember, heal your past, heal your hurt, make sure you forgive and come to closure about the things that have happened to you in the past. Sometimes this may even require you taking the time to maybe understand where that man was coming from. Maybe try to see why you may have gotten hurt by him. What was his mindset at, like, during this time? What was going on? Were there things that you may have done that contributed to why you got hurt? By taking that time to recognize and understand what you could have done, or what maybe that man could have been feeling in the time of what seemed to be like him hurting you, it will really help you garner some understanding into kind of the deeper subconscious things that could be really at play with things. Next, of course, once you have challenged those thoughts, like my husband was saying, give men a chance by going out there and meeting new men that are going to give you that perspective, that confirmation that, hey, men are great men and they want to be wonderful, great men that reach their full potential, but they can only do that if you allow them that space to do that. So don't give them judgments or be harsh or, just critical or not loving. That's certainly not feminine. And if this is something that you want to have a relationship with a masculine man, part of being feminine is being empathetic, being understanding, being caring, and most importantly, having that grace to give this man a little understanding and space to make mistakes if they happen without you judging him, to have some growth, to have those opportunities where he won't feel the pressure to always be perfect, so you don't quick this, generalize him and say he's just like all other men. So yeah, just some tad little tidbits throw in there then. That's it though for me.
Yeah, that's it for me. Well, as always, Blueprint family, thank you all for coming out tonight. And if you all have any comments, questions, concerns, please hit us up. It could be live during the show, or either you can send a anonymous chat through our wifeconomics.com/submit a question. So until next time, you all have a good night. Peace.